Hi, welcome to my YouTube channel. Last time I was talking about the foundation of the implication of the invasion of Russia and Ukraine war both on Africa and Nigeria economic. I was talking about the comparative advantage and the absolute comparative advantage between this country. And we say that Russia has a dominant factor or absolutely comparative advantage over Ukraine in terms of their artificial and natural resources. And we're looking at their fertilizer, coin, and wheat. So this week I just want to focus, or today I would like to focus on the agricultural goods of both countries, but I'll be looking at Russia since they have a dominant factors or absolute comparative advantage. Now you could see agricultural goods. We're talking about crops and fertilizer. Crops has to do with the wheat, berlin, corn, and of course the fertilizer. Just pause. Imagine a particular country that is dependent on another country for its importation of fertilizer, importation of wheat, importation of berlin or corn, or these three category of crops, and also doing what importation of fertilizer. Imagine how devastating it will be if any of these countries are in war. So what I'm trying to say is that most countries depend on one country or the other. Now, before we dissect these agricultural goods according to this country based on the previous PowerPoint slide we see, let's look at the structure of Ukraine of Russia rather, because I want to look at Russia. Now, if you look at this pie chart, Russia GDP in agricultural sector was 4% in 2013. Currently, is 5%. You might see that it's just 1% increase, but you need to look at the effects, the cost, that this percentage is causing in a global scale, and what damages is it causing. Now you may see 1% as not a big deal, but it's a big deal, especially the cost of effect that it is causing around the globe. Now, Russia or Ukraine invasion of Russia didn't start today. It didn't start today. For those that are not aware, Russia and Ukraine war started in 2014. In fact, sanctions was made by the global economics, by the world power against Russia, which has caused the devaluation of their currency in 2014. So let's look at a piece of information. If you look at a piece of information, like I said, Russia and Ukraine war is an ongoing war between Russia and Ukraine. It was started by Russia in February 2014, following the Ukraine-Russia of dignity, and initially focused on the status of criminal and neighbors internationally recognized as part of Ukraine. So the war or the invasion of states in 2014, and sanction has been placed on Russia's economy, which has caused them, billions of dollars, and their economic to slow down. And more sanction was given to them in 2020. But what I am looking at, or what I want to focus on, is the agricultural sector of Russia. Now, you can look at this piece. Agriculture in Russia is an important part of the economic of the Russia's federation. The agricultural sector survived a severe tension decline in early 1990s as a struggle to transform from a command economy to a market-oriented system. For most of you that don't understand what a command economic is, and what is a market economic, you can see a command economic is central to the government, is majorly controlled by the government. They don't care about the customers, the users. They don't care about the supply and demand. They make decisions as they oppose that they want to make those decisions. So why the market has to be about the market economic relies on supply and demands. So if you look at in 2014, when the sanctions was made, like I said, the 2014 devaluation of the ruble and impossible of sanctions spring domestic production. So sanction was made at Russia by the world power or by other countries that were showing concern for Ukraine, and they made sanctions on their trades. They couldn't make and do exchange trade between other countries that implies or that give the sanctions to Russia, and this caused great devaluation in their currency, in their money. That's an economic terms that we may discuss later on. We're talking about the economic or the global economic of the world, or in Africa or in Nigeria. But here's it. When it comes to great adversity, when you look at the word great adversity and the implication, see some country when passing through that period of hardship, during that period of difficulties or challenges, they tend to start bringing innovative ideas that makes them a dominant force in the future to be recognized with. This with totally in 2014, the depression of the whoopee and impossible of sanctions upon domestic production. In 2016, Russia exceeded the Soviet Russia's grain production levels, and in that year became the world's largest exporter of wheat. In the last years, Russia has emerged as a big agricultural power again, despite also facing various challenges. So, during the time of war, there was sanction made by other countries, and during those hardships, those challenges, those difficulties, Russia began to make a lot of movement, and before you know, when the sanction was lifted, they became to be recognized as a powerhouse. You're going to see that as we move and advance in the agricultural sector of Russia. So before I close this episode, we'll soon be done. Close this episode, we still look at the agricultural sector of Russia. So Russia agricultural sector contributes about 5% of its country's total GDP, although the sector employs about 1/8 of total labor force. It has the world's third largest cultivated area. So if you look at all the countries put together in terms of cultivated area, Russia are number 3, and it is 1,265,267 square kilometers. However, to the hardness of its environment, about 13.1% of its land is agricultural, and only 7.4% of its land is arable. The country's agricultural land is considered part of the breadbasket of the European. More than 1/3 of the soil area is devoted to fooding crops, and the remaining farmland is devoted to industrial crops, vegetables, and fruit. The main product of Russian farming has always been grain, which occupies considerably more than half of the cropland. Russia is the world's largest exporter of wheat, the large producer of barley and buckwheat, among the largest exporter of maize and sunflowers. So you just look from here. Just look. They say Russia is the world's largest exporter of wheat, the largest producer of barley, buckwheat, among the largest exporter of maize, sunflower oil, leading producer of fertilizer. So if you look back to our slide, they are the largest producer of wheat, barley, and fertilizer. They are the largest producer of this, of 2 crops, and of course of fertilizer. So we continue with our PowerPoint. Our power presentation. So we look for that. They say Russia maintains the world's 6th largest fishing industry. They still maintain the world 6th. So among the world, they are the 6th largest fishing industry, capturing nearly 5 million tons of fish in 2018. It is the home to the world's finest carver, a type of fish, or different kinds of fish, and they produce about 1/3 of all canned fish. 1/3. About 1 catfish, and some 1/4 of the world's total fresh and frozen fish. You could see their dominant factor in terms of agriculture. So they are not to be underestimated. In the next episode, we will see the effect that it causes, the damages that it causes to other countries, both in Africa and in Nigeria, as we progress.